How's it going, YouTube? Welcome to this video where we are going to talk about how to soundproof a floor. So if you are slowly building your soundproof home studio, or maybe you're just trying to soundproof a room in general to keep noise out or keep noise in, this video will laser focus in on 3 ways to soundproof your floor. So stick around, we're about to jump in. Before I do that, I just want to let you know that I have a free soundproofing course. You can check it out in the links below in the notes section. So definitely check that out if you want to go a little bit deeper into the idea of soundproofing and get like a great overall foundation. All right, let's jump into the video. So the first way to soundproof a floor is what I did, and I think it's one of the best ways, and this is to pour a concrete slab. So I built a studio in my backyard from the ground up, which is something that, you might not want to do. 1, for budgetary concerns. 2, you might not have the space, or it might just be too much work. But if you're going to go that route, pouring a concrete slab is definitely the way to go. This also can work if you have a basement studio where you already have a concrete slab. Perfect. You can use that as the most soundproof floor you could possibly have. Another option, which I've had talked about a little bit in other YouTube videos, is if you have a garage. Most garages have a concrete slab, and that would be an excellent place to build your soundproof studio on top of. The other option is to use what is called an isolated concrete slab. So notice that I'm sticking with this idea of concrete, and the reason is that for soundproofing, one of the main things that makes something soundproof is mass. So the heavier, the more massive something is, what a material is, the better it will be at blocking out sound. Concrete inherently is very heavy, very massive. So having that as the foundation, where you just lay a floor on top of it, like a engineered hardwood floor, or some sort of linoleum floor just right on top of your concrete, is a great way to go to have the maximum amount of soundproofing. If you're going to build multiple rooms, let's say you want to build a studio from the ground up, and you want to have a tracking room, you want to have a vocal booth, you want to have a control room, and maybe multiple tracking rooms within the facility. If you were going to do something like that, you would want to do what are called isolated slabs. So an isolated slab is a concrete slab that is actually not touching the extra room. So let's say that your control room, you would pour your own single concrete slab for the control room, and then for the live room that the control room looks into and is connected to, you would pour a separate concrete slab. Now, I'm not going to get into the super technical way of doing this. This is something you definitely want to hire out. You want to talk to a concrete specialist who has experience pouring isolated slabs, and they'll be able to do this for you. This is something where you would actually create a minuscule air gap between the 2 slabs, so they're never actually touching. Therefore, the sound cannot translate through the floor into the other room. Now, you probably might be thinking, okay, well, how important is that? And the answer is, it depends. If you're doing a ton of bass, if you have kick drums, if you're doing like full band recording, doing the isolated slabs could be a great option because you have a lot of low frequency information that might travel through the concrete and into the other room. Now, if you're doing a lot of singer-songwriter music, or it's just you, isolated slabs, probably aren't necessary for anything in the higher frequency range. So it's really those low sub notes that tend to travel through things and kind of muddy up the 2 different rooms. So the third option for soundproofing a floor is something that you might be thinking of if you want to build your soundproof room on a traditional wood deck, which is, wood deck just means the traditional way that someone would build a floor in an apartment, or maybe in your house. If you have a bedroom in your house that's on a first floor that's not on top of a slab, or on a second story floor, it's definitely built with what's known as a wood deck, which is simply just having your cross beams and then laying plywood on top of those cross beams to create a floor. And this is the weakest soundproofing option, and you can imagine why. It doesn't have any mass, really. All you have for mass is that 3/4 inch or 1 inch or whatever width plywood, which is heavy, but it's not like concrete. So in order to do a soundproof floor with a wood deck system, you're going to have to do some serious hard work to beef up the mass in that floor. So before we jump in, I want to say that if you're going to do this, I would definitely hire a structural engineer to make sure that the load on your floor of adding extra weight to it won't collapse the floor itself when there's like your whole family over for Thanksgiving and a bunch of furniture on it and things like that. You obviously don't want your house to collapse and fall down. So structural engineer, Don't do this yourself. This is important with this stuff to really talk to the experts. So the basic concept behind this is that you're going to go underneath your floor. So if your floor is on the second story and it's completely finished, you're going to have to take out the drywall, the insulation, and expose the raw wood beams. So again, this is a big deal. If it's underneath, if you have a crawl space or if you have a basement that has the exposed wood beams, that's great. All you really have to do then is take out the cross bracing that is in most wood decks, and you're going to place one layer of 5/8 inch drywall under there, and you can just screw it in with either some drywall screws to make sure it doesn't go all the way through your floor. And then you're going to put a layer of green glue, and green glue is something that creates a barrier between your two layers of drywall. So I'll have some notes for green glue in the notes below, and we'll probably do a video all about green glue in the future. But for now, just know you're going to use this material called green glue, slather that green glue onto that first layer of drywall, and then you're going to put a second layer of 5/8 inch drywall. It's important that this is 5/8 of an inch because that's the heaviest kind you can get. It's really heavy. Trust me, when we did my studio, it was backbreaking work. And so this will add a ton of mass to below your floor. And then what you're going to want to do is put your cross bracings back in place because those are important for the structural integrity of your floor itself. So make sure to replace those cross bracings and add some regular old pink insulation to the floor. And from then you can actually finish off that floor with another layer of drywall if you want, or you could leave it open. The more drywall you add into it, the more it will be soundproof. So the floor now has so much more mass underneath it between all those beams that you will have essentially made a soundproof floor and increase the likelihood that sound will not come up from the bottom of your house or the first floor of your house or the crawl space or noise from the outside. So that is a quick overview of 3 ways to create a soundproof floor. Like I said, if you want to dive deeper, these are kind of quick informational videos on YouTube that hopefully teach you some options. But if you want to dive deep, check out my course below. The free course goes a little deeper. Ask me questions in the comments. I always love to answer those. I am just a home studio enthusiast just like you, and I just went ahead and went crazy and built my own home studio in my backyard that's soundproof. So I'm trying to help others out because I realized there was a need for that. So definitely subscribe, like it if you want, but mainly I'm pointing you to that free soundproofing course because that's where the real value is. All right, until next week, I will see you all later. Thanks so much.